Well, Hurricane Milton came and went. We're going to talk about how Disney and Universal dealt with the comings and goings. Disneyland said, hey, we aren't expensive enough. Let's hike the prices a little bit. We've got a lot to talk about, and it's all tonight on ParksCenter. Welcome to ParksCenter for October 13th, 2024. I'm your host, Rob Whiteside. Thank you guys, as always, for being with us. We appreciate you being here and spending your Sunday nights with us at ParksCenter. If you haven't already, please subscribe to WDWNT TV for more great content, and please make sure to give us a thumbs up as it helps people to find us. And who's us? Starting here with Stephanie. How's it going?
Going great. Happy early spooky Sunday.
Happy spooky early Sunday. Yes, indeed. And Allie?
Hello, survived the hurricane, and I'm here for Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, they just keep throwing them at you, and you keep just going, yeah, we're good. And of course, Mr. Patrick Hackett, how are you, sir?
I'm going to keep going with stealing people's catchphrases. Sivako!
I like that. Fun fact, it was not invented by the person you're thinking it was. It was something that was used in the park. Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. Thank you guys for being with us. We appreciate you. We want to start out by talking about something that we feel like we've been talking about a lot, which is hurricanes. They had, normally, Stephanie, hurricanes love the state of Louisiana for one reason or another. And this season, they really are picking on Florida pretty hard. When you see, and I'm in North Carolina, they come here too, but when you see these hurricanes coming in and you see all the closures and everything, I assume that you're on board with how careful these folks are, because I feel like it's something you never really know what's happening. I know you've probably been through many.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Disney has gotten their stuff together, like truly. This time around, especially, they had things strapped down with those yellow nylon straps or whatever they are, those really strong things that they bolted to the ground. I even saw a guy that did that to his house. That was impressive. So I don't know if that helped. But I think that they really do have a good idea and a good handle on what they need to do to minimize damage, maximize fun for the guests. They were passing out peanut butter and jelly, I think, at the hotels, and still having the characters come. So I think that's really great that they do that for the guests too.
I think you're being generous when you say they were passing it out. I think that they were they were happy to take people's money. I feel like, yeah, that's one of those things that when I was at Disney World for a hurricane, I was very impressed with the way they handled everything, and it was the same thing. They closed the park for one day. That night, they had all the guests come to the hotel restaurant, and they had characters there, and it was really like they were like, let's see how much of this we can fix for everybody and still have a magical time. But at that time, this was a while ago, there wasn't easy to grab food, and I know they've gotten a lot of flack for these hurricane packs that they've done, and I think it was like a bag with a jar of peanut butter and a jar of jelly and a thing of bread, and it was like what, $10-15 or something for that, and people were like, ooh. Yeah, and people, and honestly, you're as we've talked about with many things at Disney, you're paying for convenience. There's not a lot of stuff. I don't feel like they're quite gouging you, but of course they are still making sure that they make a buck. Which brings me to a question that doesn't ever really cross my mind, because it's not my money, but Walt Disney World has lost $547 million due to hurricanes. And as I'm seeing that they had to give up, this is just Walt Disney World, but like the cruise line had to give up a sailing because they couldn't get people out, and Typhoon Lagoon was closed for a couple extra days and things like that. But Allie, when you were down there and you're seeing all this stuff happen, do you feel like that they did the right amount of caution, or did they open up too early?
No, I feel like they kind of nailed that on the head. I think we were all a little surprised that they were, in fact, open Wednesday, just because initially it looked like it was going to hit earlier, but then when the trajectory of the hurricane changed, I think they were okay, like with what they ended up doing. Wednesday covering all that at Magic Kingdom. The weather was fine. It was super rainy, but at no point was it ever like unsafe or dangerous. and they closed at 2. Everybody went home, and it really didn't start getting bad until way later into the evening, at least in the Orlando area. So being closed Thursday was the right thing. That gave them time to assess all the damage. There's still quite a few trees down and bent, and things like that. And then Typhoon was, closed an extra day. I actually went to Typhoon yesterday, and it looked like, nothing had happened. So I think Disney did a really good job. Them and Universal did that perfectly.
Yeah. And again, you mean, we don't want anybody to get hurt. We want to make sure everybody's safe and that they are, what's it called? That they are, what in place? Why words are hard.
Shelter in place.
Sheltered.
Yeah.
That's the one. Very hard, very big word. So sheltered in place, we want to make sure everybody's safe. But like, it reminds me of like school closings, and my wife is an educator, and they always have to make that call. Like, we don't know what the weather is going to be like tomorrow, but do we cancel school or do we not cancel it? And if you cancel it and then it's beautiful out, that everybody's like, oh, what did you do? Why my daycare? Like, why don't you have my kids? I don't want my kids. Why don't you have them? But if you don't cancel and then something happens and somebody gets hurt, we definitely don't want that to happen either. Patrick, thoughts on this?
Yeah, I honestly, the one thing I would say is I really would like Disney and Universal to make the call earlier. I think they have enough information that they can make that decision. I think that would put people in a lot more safety. And I just want to talk real quick because, if you get on social media, the world is a terrible, miserable place. That's just par for the course right now. But to the people who don't know what they're talking about, coming for people like me, coming for my friends in the chat, talking about, oh, you want to go and spend your last days at the happiest place on earth. Number 1, that's Disneyland. Number 2, Walt Disney World's the most magical place on earth. Number 3 is it's super safe there. It has its own grid. It has its own facilities, and the buildings are built to withstand hurricanes. It was built by people who took all of this into consideration, and believe it or not, from 1971, everything is still standing. It is a safe place, and people like our dear friend Desi, who is chatting along with us, when they lose power, when they lose facilities, they can come to the parks and use facilities and maybe, get a room at Pop Century, although I don't think Desi would get a room at Pop Century, knowing her as I do. But, those less bougie can get a room at Pop Century, get a $10 peanut butter and jelly pack, and make the most of this. No one is asking cast members to endanger their lives. Cast members sign up for the hurricane duty and get paid quite well for that, which is something I don't often say about Disney, is that they take care of their cast members for this. So please, all you keyboard warriors, don't come for us. Do you think a Disney adult gives a single go play, whatever thing that makes you happy? This makes us happy. No one is doing anything that they're not being safe. Yeah, people are going to complain. People complain 24/7, 365. Their life isn't going to get any better. But if you're leaving Tampa on the coast and coming to Orlando in the middle, a little geography goes a long way, and it's a much safer place. So please just shut up. For the love of God. Jabronis.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if Rob's speechless or muted. It's one of the two. But see, when people
I'm
bring the pro
speechless.
wrestler out, and
I'm
they
just
don't,
speechless.
You don't want
I'm
that.
just speechless. What I was going to say, what I was trying to say, what I was saying to myself was that you said you were going to be very salty tonight, and I was like, nah, not Patrick, not my boy.
Spicy.
And then, you definitely came with it. One of the things that I want to talk about before we go here is something that I've never seen happen. And Stephanie, you alluded to this before, but these straps bolted to the floor like Waldorf and Statler. Like the idea of all these popcorn carts and just like, I've never seen this before. And I feel like they've been through a ton of hurricanes. But some of them I'm just looking at going, like this one, first of all, like the umbrella is still there. I mean, take that away. You don't need that. But like, that was like the first thing I was like, I was like, okay, yeah, those stands aren't going to move. Those umbrellas are going to be spears and they're going to be flying projectiles. But the rest of it is fine.
They have another one of those booths somewhere. Like that, something happens, they just wheel another out.
I mean, yes, I guess probably. Um, yeah, there was something else that a friend of mine texted me that exact same image and said, "You can relax now."
Yeah.
Like that Epcot popcorn cart is safe, and so
They'll
therefore we
find a
are
way to
all going to
sell it,
be
even if.
just
Yeah.
fine. One other thing on this that I wanted to kind of mention before moving on is something that Scott Gustin had posted on Twitter that says Hurricane Milton caused flooding at Disney World Amusement Park in Orlando, Florida, and obviously it's it's a very good Photoshop job of
That's
Main Street
AI.
just being flooded horribly, and his quote here is, "These images are fake. Please tell your uncle," which. I mean, I've had people who came to me like quoting things from Mousetrap News, like, "Oh, you heard that they are going to have like delivery rooms at the Magic Kingdom now for people who." Nope, that was a pretend article. Sorry. Um, it's kind of
I've
like
been
people
in
taking.
MK when there's flooding. That's not fun.
Yes, I've been trapped in Tomorrowland with at least 6 inches of water going through there. Yeah.
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 For me, it was Epcot. It was like torrential, and it was while the walls were still up, and you couldn't. We were like, "Oh, we'll get over to Creations." Nope,
Yeah.
not easily. That was pretty bad. But you know what? Disney did get a little bit of extra money from that because every one in my family bought Crocs after that
Oh.
because their feet were just done.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the next thing. We talked last week about price hikes at Disney World for Lightning Lane. The Lightning Lane single pass went up like $1 or $2, and then again, Disneyland, hold my beer, went and said we're gonna raise prices on everything. Their tickets are going up to the point where it's over $200. In some cases for 1 day ticket to the park. And so this is actually helps my personal justification, Allie, when it comes to Magic Key, because I look at it and go, well, I certainly don't want to pay $200 a day. If I just buy a Magic Key, that's absolutely going to be the best way to go, and I'm thinking fiscally responsible. No, that's probably not the thing. Now that you live in Florida, are you still going to be a Magic Key holder when it comes around? Now that the prices have gone up, so one of the Magic Keys is up 20%. 20%.
It's a lot. Yeah, so fun fact, my Magic Key expired the day before we went back to LA and
Oh.
so, so I did the math and guess what? I renewed into the Magic Key. I did drop down a level, so I am with the cheaper pass still, and I still have my SoCal residency, so still doing those monthly payments. But yeah, Disneyland is expensive right now. Like anytime I have friends come and meet us or anything, like it is insane. When I walk them through buying the tickets, I was like, holy crap. It's like almost $300 now some of those days if you want to add on the Park Hopper. And if you add in the Genie Plus, that is expensive. And that top Magic Key is what, $1,700, almost $1,800 now? I mean, if you're going to go once a week and you're local, yeah, that totally will pay for itself if you can afford that. But yeah, she pricey. She is a lot.
Just a word of warning: do not
lot.
get scammed, and do not if you are buying a Disneyland Magic Key, do not get scammed and add the Water Parks and More feature. You don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Yeah, it's not good.
It will not go well.
No. Stephanie, you were just there with like all 900 of your children, and you had to pay for like individual. I assume you just bought individual tickets, right?
Well, we actually have Magic Keys, Rob, as you know. But
Oh, womp womp.
but I would have. But I did pay. I did pay individual tickets for the Oogie Boogie Bash, and Allie knows how much I paid for that. My gosh, through the teeth. But anyway, I do. I think we were there a week and a half ago, right before this price increase, and it was expensive enough. Absolutely, hands down. I mean, I really feel like I spent about 5 days there was more than what I typically spend 5 days at Disney World at this point. And I think it's just because of the individual lightning lanes we kept buying. It was $200 a day on top of everything else whenever we would purchase that. And it was I just felt like everything was adding and adding and adding up. So yeah, I definitely think it's very expensive, but it was still very crowded.
Yeah, it's insane. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
when it's going to stop.
Well, and that's the question here, right? The question is how much is too much? Because they have the demand, and so they continue to raise the prices, and we go, that's awful here. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I mean, we're not willing to stop going for the magic. And it used to be I would justify this to people who were like non-Disney people, which God forbid, I have such sympathy for those people. But I would say they're like, oh, that's so expensive. I'm like, well, if you look at what like an NFL Sunday ticket would cost, not NFL Sunday ticket, but a ticket to an NFL game. It would be $100 to
Yeah.
$200 for 4 hours of entertainment sitting in the bleachers. That's one of those things where you go, well, there is a value to it, but we're getting to the point, and Patrick, I'm going to let you have a minute here before we go on, where like the value is very quickly dwindling to the point where it's really still hard to justify.
Yeah, well, so I'm looking at, and while we're talking, I'm doing a little bit of research. If I wanted to go visit Six Flags New England, right up the street from me, $65 a person right now, and I believe you only get one visit to each haunted maze, so you can't revisit anything. It's, spooky season. If I wanted to go to another local park, at the door, Lake Compound, $65. Do I think that Disneyland is 4 times as much entertainment as good old Lake Compound's, one of the oldest theme parks in the country? Yeah, I do. The big issue here is not the price increase. It's the fact that it took from, pardon me, 1955 to 2017 to get over $100 for a ticket. And then in just 7 years, we've doubled. So since 2017, it's gone up to $200. And that's not okay. We can talk about how much they lost with hurricanes and earthquakes and COVID closures, but they're still not paying their cast members what they should be paid. And they're still not giving us the real return on investment that we expect from the parks, especially with all the add-ons. And yet we remain part of the problem and continue to pay it. Not all of us, though, because we get annual passes. We're not going there for a day rate. But yeah, it's nuts. I can justify, like Rob's saying, in context with concerts and NFL and all that other stuff, but it's so much. It's so much.
But
Yeah.
I would say, Rob, if I were going to buy the individual tickets, I would definitely make sure I'm a Sam's Club, membership, or I would get my Target Red Card, because they both still have discounted tickets there, I think.
Well, I mean,
BJ's
you get
too.
yeah, you get 5% off of gift cards that you can use, and then you use the gift cards at Target to go buy to go buy the tickets. But but they've all increased by at least 6%, right? So
Right.
you're still you're not even barely like covering the inflation here, if we can call it inflation. The other thing that I got excited about at first was that Allie was the lightning lane was like, oh, it says it's 50% off. And it kind of made me feel like, again, the thing we've talked about constantly about Max Pass is that they would give you, Max Pass for the year for the higher key or the higher annual pass. And I was like, oh, 50%. That makes it a little bit easier for me to, a little easier to swallow that pill. And then it was like from January 1st to January 31st.
All right.
Well,
When
Thanks for
nobody's there.
nothing.
Yeah.
Gotta
Thanks
go.
for nothing, I think. I mean, at least there's a discount, though. You don't get that with an AP in Florida. For
True.
they give you the honor of paying the exact same price as everybody else for your lightning lane because they don't want you to feel entitled, and that's just them trying to help you out. I feel like.
I want to feel entitled. I want my own lane. I want my own lounges. If I'm going there and I'm paying these ridiculous prices, I want to lord it over people.
Of course you do. Again, feeling a little salty
Man of the
tonight.
people.
I get it. Man of the people. I'm not really sure that's it, Mr. 6 feet forever. That's fine. All right. So, cue the Owl City. When will I see you again? I was excited about this. The internet blew up about this. People were crying about how excited they were that Paint the Night is making its return to Disneyland, but it was very vague. It was a very vague post. I think everybody was like, it's coming back, and I'm like, great, what date? It doesn't even say what park. It doesn't even say this year. It doesn't say any of that stuff. But I loved this parade. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a
Yeah.
nighttime parade that happened at Disneyland. It actually went through Disneyland Park. It almost felt too big for Disneyland Park, and then we always heard rumors it might come to Florida. And then it never did. But that, again, it doesn't say it's not, but it was posted by Disneyland and Disney Parks, which makes me feel like, Allie, this is probably coming back. I mean, there hasn't been a nighttime parade for a minute, so seems like it would be a good thing for the 70th, right?
Yeah, that would probably track and make sense. And when it left, it was at DCA, if I remember correctly. I remember seeing it at DCA. So my guess would be they will bring this to DCA, and then hopefully Magic Happens comes back. Or I don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited. I'm here for all the entertainment, and it is a good parade. And then there's poor
Well,
Florida.
yeah. Well, no, Florida's getting one though.
Florida's getting
getting
one
one.
too, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
Josh
getting one.
said.
Yeah.
one.
Josh
Josh
said.
said.
Josh said. Oh yeah.
Josh
When you
said
say
if we were
one,
good, we could have a parade back.
well, I mean, when you say one though, you're saying like you expect there to be like Mickey's Jammin' Jungle nighttime parade
Oh,
too?
God,
Is that what you're is that what
That
you're
would be
looking
great.
for?
Such a good parade. It's so good.
You're like one. I mean, everybody's like like it's a vast desert of nighttime parades, and they're like, hey, one's coming back. Everybody else is excited. Allie's like, just one. I guess so. Patrick, thoughts here?
I really wanted this to come to Walt Disney World, and I'm sad that Disneyland is getting a parade back before we've gotten one. Like, just make it happen. Do we have to wait until all these changes are made to see what the parade route will be? Just give me a parade, man. Where's where? I know where Spectrum Magic is. I do know where Spectrum Magic is. I don't want to ask that. I do know. Well, where's Main Street Electro? Can we just roll it through? Come on, just give us something. Something.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well. I mean, yeah. Whatever Spectrum Magic looks like probably looks a lot like when you bury something in the pet cemetery. What comes back
Oh no.
might not be what you left there. That's going to be a little bit scary. And then Stephanie, Paint the Night. Did you ever see it? Do you want it back? What's up?
Yeah, it's a beautiful parade. I saw it in 2016, and it was at Disneyland. So, yeah, I think it's a great parade. I wish I was like Patrick. I was hoping it would come to Walt Disney World, but this is what sets Disney apart from all the other parades in your local town and at your local amusement park. These nighttime parades, and that's something that is a tradition going back a long time ago, and I'm glad that they're finally bringing it back, and it's definitely needed for the 70th.
Yeah, I mean, and
We needed it for our 50th. They didn't have it.
Right? I mean, wait a minute. Now that you mention it, why didn't we have a nighttime parade for our 50th? I mean,
We had statues.
Right? Yes,
Well,
right.
Yeah,
you
those
just
are
shut
great.
your mouth. We had Harmonious.
Oh, that's true.
I'm just saying, yeah. So real quick, we have a super chat from our friend Jungle Cruiser. Rob, remember Disneyland Resort has only 3 full lands and one that is more than half empty. At WDW, you have 4 full lands and DLR pays more. Yeah, that's true. Like, again, I guess we're talking more about the money. Is that like at Disneyland, I feel like there's some weird system that they've figured out there about the magic keys and how many local people come and what they're spending versus the people who come in from the outside. But I mean, everything's more expensive at Disneyland because there's only 3 hotels instead of 26. There's only 2 parks instead of 4, plus the water parks. Again, do not buy the water parks and more magic key. It is not going to be worth it for you. But thank you, Jungle Cruiser, for the super chat. We appreciate you. Let's move on to something that happened that I have all kinds of thoughts on and questions about, but I want to hear what the panel has to think about it. A lot of times interacting with the characters is a lot of fun, especially with the villains. If you guys ever saw the Gaston meet and greet, he was brutal. He was absolutely brutal, and he had a license to do so because he was Gaston, and it was like he could do things that were just like it was amazing. Same thing happened like with all the villains at Oogie Boogie Bash, like Sid, and like how he just goes hard the whole time. Like that's
Ernesto on someone recently.
Yeah, it's so fun. So apparently there was an incident where the evil queen was evil to someone and they didn't care for it, and they called her ugly.
Which is a good insult for her.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like she stayed in character the whole time, which is what she has to do, because she's really the evil queen, obviously. And then in character, Snow White said, "Oh, they're grumpy," and I'm thinking, "Oh, that's when it would have been on right there." It's like, what did you say? What did you? But I don't know. This is so interesting to me, and I think the first thing that popped out to me was like, "Oh, hey, what?
What?
You okay? You okay?
I'm good."
Okay.
Stephanie got it.
Anyway, the first thing that popped out to me was that there were no guests. No attendants. There were no attendees for this, which apparently is a normal thing in California, is for them not to have an attendant go with them. So talk about this one, Stephanie, because I feel like you have a pretty good connection to this kind of a thing.
Yeah, so the big difference, like you're talking about, is the character attendees. And the thing is this, at Disneyland, they are free to roam around and they interact with their environment as if, the character's interacting with the environment. Mary Poppins, we walked right past her. I said a couple of words to her. She turned around and talked to me. And then she walked on her merry way to the carousel, and she went to, ride her horse and do whatever else she was meant to do that day. But there was no character attendant at all. And so I feel like that's what maybe these folks were not locals. They did not understand that. And you are not entitled to a picture with a roaming character. That's just what you need to know. You can interact with them, you can talk with them, you can maybe take a selfie or something like this, but you really are not entitled to go and stand in a queue and wait for your turn. I don't think that is what I think that's what the people were thinking they were going to do. They wanted a picture with their daughter or something like this, but there was no line, there was no queue for them to stand in, and so they got a little offended. So at Disney World, absolutely there's a queue. There's a queue for an hour, to go and see somebody, but not at Disneyland. And I will say, yes, the Evil Queen did a fabulous job, and she stayed in character until she turned around and held Snow White's hand all the way back to the castle.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, in Once Upon a Time, when Regina and Snow finally got... No,
not
never mind. No. Season 4? Are we that far up? It's fine. We're all fine. For those of you who don't know, Patrick made us watch 17 hours of Once Upon a Time to review. So, anyway, let's again, I love those characters. I hate that things like this happen, but when they happen and they're caught and they put them on TikTok and then it gets sorted around, it really is like, people are like, oh, I can't believe how awful this is. Although the person who posted this was like, dude, come on. Like it's the Evil Queen. Like that's the thing. The only roaming characters there are still roaming characters at Disney World, aren't there not? So Stephanie, like in Galaxy's Edge.
There used to be. Yes, there are in Galaxy's Edge, absolutely. There used to be, at the very beginning of the day, Alice and Tweedledee and Tweedledum would come out and go around the teacups and that kind of thing. I don't know if she's been doing that lately. But yes, there are still some roaming characters.
But you see it, like you said, more often at Disneyland. Like Peter Pan and Wendy are always
Always.
getting on the carousel or goofing off in Fantasyland, and I don't know, that kind of thing it always seems like fun. But please don't mess up the fun. Let's move on to this. So there was a book that came out, and I was like, are we really doing this? That was a golden book for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and I was like, okay, I love Star Wars. I love golden books, and I love the fact that we have we have a lot of opportunities with attractions and things to make these. But I was like, really? We're doing them for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge? That's interesting. Look how great that looks for the kids. The Dark Lord in the background with the laser blade coming after you, like. How cheery is that? I went through my stuff and found like this is what that's the wrong color. This is what Golden Books used to be like for me, is like this Mickey Mouse and the Kitten Sitters, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, stuff like that. And so when they started doing them for attractions,
I got this Golden Book. Should I open it?
That's not a Golden Book. Sorry, buddy. Have you ever seen this one? Everything I Needed to Know I Learned from Disney.
I have that.
Yeah, that's really sweet.
But like the stuff like this, like the Little Man of Disneyland and the Figment book, like these, those make sense to me. And there's all these that come out. And however, I feel like it's going to be an automatic purchase for me anymore. It's like if there's one that's like
shocking.
That I know. It's very rare that would be a thing for me, but like stuff like that where it ties into the parks. There was a Jungle Cruise one, there was a Haunted Mansion one, and Stephanie, there was recently one I think that you grabbed that was for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, if I'm not mistaken. So
there was.
Yeah?
I didn't grab it.
And so like, would you get the Galaxy's Edge one? Are you an automatic for anything that's parks related?
I'm not an automatic. I'm automatic if it's the original attractions. I have a Pirates. I have the Orange Bird one. I have a bunch of them. But no, I'm not going to probably get the Galaxy's Edge one unless the story is really good. And I read something or saw something recently that there was supposed to be that into the Star Cruiser's big fight scene was supposed to be happening in Galaxy's Edge, and that's actually what it was meant for, because during their previews, I guess, to the press or something, they did that whole fight scene, and that would have made more sense. It would have made more sense for the kids. It would have made more sense for the books and the story of the Galaxy's Edge area if they had done that.
Okay. Patrick, will you be buying this?
Yeah, so actually, oddly enough, I just watched one of, I think, at least two episodes of Young Jedi Adventures that take place in Batuu. So anything I can do to get my daughter to hop on the Millennium Falcon with me, I am all about. So this is just another way I can desensitize her to Batuu and everything that happens there and finally get on the Falcon again.
Did you say desensitize her to everything that happens there?
Yeah.
Okay. What a great dad.
Get her used to it.
But again, like that's one of these things where when Marvel was doing the crossovers, so they did one for the Star Cruiser Legacy that like I was like, well, I got to have that. It's a 6-issue series about the Star Cruiser. I got to get that. They did one for Web Slingers. And then they did, of course, multiple covers. Well, I got to get those. So again, there's no downside to Disney to continue to do these things. But my favorite one is The Little Man of Disneyland, because if you read through that one, it talks about the little house at Disneyland at the base of the tree. And if you go to Disneyland, you can actually see the little house. It's over by Indiana Jones. And like, so I remember when my kids were little, taking the book and going to Disneyland and like reading them the book ahead of time in the room. And then we would go there. Didn't pay $200 a day per ticket though, so it was a little bit more. We could afford then to go across to get some Banyan beef, so it worked out well. So let's talk about this, because man, you remember there was that thing, COVID something or other, and they were like, oh, we were going to make a hotel here. We're not going to make that anymore. That's fine. It didn't exist. It was over where, Ben, who used to host the show, always hated the idea of Reflections because he thought it was being built on the bones or the grave of River Country. It's like River Country needed to go away. Like, I loved River Country, but River Country was deadly. It needed to go away. So they have this block of land, and apparently they're starting to build things there. And so our Reflections correspondent, Patrick Hackett, has some things to talk about with Reflections. You're muted. You're muted. Whoa! What the?
I burped before. Why is there going to be a 10-story building there? What are we doing with the 10-story building? There's no need for that. Also, can we add capacity to parks before adding more hotel rooms? Stop putting people there when there's nothing to do and nowhere to put them once they get in the hotel. They're not going to stay in there. They're going to go out in the park, and you keep closing attractions before you open something else to replace it. So what are we doing? Now we have a 10-story ginormous thing. What is that going to do with the sightlines to Wilderness Lodge, the sightlines from Fort Wilderness? What are we even doing? We have that abomination that's about to open, which I'll be there for opening day, and I might swing by over there at the Polynesian. And it's just like, what are we even doing? Now, the concept art for this did not look like it was a 10-story building. It looked pretty cool. I'm not going to lie that the concept art didn't look good. I like the Pocahontas theme in there, especially the like really nice centerpiece. But you need to finish all these expansions and fixing up rides before we keep adding hotel capacity without adding park capacity. It's insane.
You know, I've said that a million times that I felt like there should be a 5th park, and people come at me and they're like, Rob, we need to fix the 4 parks we have. And I'm like, no. Build a 5th park. Fix those later. That's fine. That's what Universal's doing. They're building a new one. They're going to fix the other ones later. It's going to be fine. But that's the problem that I see too. Is we just talked about Disneyland, and it has 3 Disney hotels and 2 parks. And again, no water parks. And you've got in Florida, you've got 1 water park that stays open, and then the rest of the, because of the sleeping curse, they can't both be at the same time. I guess I don't really know.
No more once references.
Yeah. So then you've got those 4 parks, and they're like, if you add another pavilion to Epcot, and I think that that's the science behind why they won't, is that it won't add really to capacity there when you do add things like, I don't know, nighttime parades and things. That sort of eats people a little bit, but it's not really adding to capacity. So it's just one of those things where I'm not sure it's going to fix it. But the other thing you said, Patrick, that really resonated with me is the tower thing, because the Swan Reserve, the Grand Destino, the Riviera, the Island Tower, they're building up a lot more than they used to, and sightlines don't seem to matter as much as they used to either. So, Allie, you were like boots on the ground with this thing. What's going on?
Yeah, so when they asked for it, I had to Google it to figure out what Reflections was. I thought they were sending me to China for something. Anyway, Googled it, figured it out. Like 4 boat rides later, I finally got on the right boat, went over there. And so I was like, oh, it's back by Hoop-de-Doo. Nobody told me. Anyway, learned all that. Yeah, right now it's just a huge pile of dirt, and they're just moving some stuff around. I will say for sightlines, like, I don't think it's really going to mess anything up. Like, you can't see the Magic Kingdom from back there, really. And it's behind all those trees, and you really can't even see the lodge from back there. But I am with Patrick. Enough with the hotels. We do not need any more hotels. Stop. Please just stop.
Yeah, Stephanie?
The difference is it's DVC, and DVC is print money for Disney. I mean, they're selling the Island Tower right now, and I guess that's what they're saying. We just need more capacity. And truly, like, I'm trying to get in to DVC the week before Thanksgiving, and there's like nothing right now. Even Saratoga Springs, gone.
Wow. Such hate for Patrick's home.
Oh, nope. Patrick got his trip moved to Old Key West, baby.
See?
Okay. Well,
here's refreshing.
But I'm glad you said that, Seb, because that was going to be my issue with it too. Is that it is more DVC? Yes, it is more capacity, and anybody can probably book a room there. But it is more DVC points on the table too. So, yes, it's another place to book if you have DVC, but it also means there are more points involved. And I think that the place where this system broke, in my opinion, and we can bring on Jason Diffendahl and talk scientifically about this at some point, but to me, the place where this broke was Aulani and the Polynesian bungalows, because people bought into those points and are never going to stay at Aulani and are never going to stay in those bungalows. They're going to stay in all of our places instead. So, that's really, and it just flooded with points, and now there's so many points and there's not as many places to spend them unless you want to stay at a bungalow or at Aulani. And if you look at the points when you're going through DVC looking, and I'm sure you've looked a lot trying to find that Thanksgiving trip, you probably can get any room you want at Aulani. You just can't get them at Disney World, and you definitely can't get them at Disneyland.
can't at
Disneyland
Disneyland.
DVC is like it's like literally winning the lottery if you can find
It's a
DVC
unicorn.
availability. Yeah, it's tough. Um, let's talk about a sad thing that happened that really kind of went a little unnoticed last week. Poor guy. Lightning McQueen. We talked about Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy. Professor McQueen has been teaching at the Racing Academy for not very long, and now all of a sudden he's been evicted. They're planning on, I guess, sending him to sit in the middle of the rivers of America, if that comes to be. If it doesn't, he's out of a job, and that's pretty sad. But the very last show happened on October 7th. A day that will live in infamy for Cars fans all over the world, that Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy permanently closed. And there was a line of people there to probably 90% vloggers, but there was a line of people there to say goodbye, to say that they were there. And I don't know, Patrick, did you ever get, did you ever desensitize your daughter to this so that you could go and ride cars?
What I said
and using it to my advantage.
Yeah, that's no, I really wanted to, and we just never made it back there. Besides going to that, there's no reason for us to be back there. She's not going to ride Rock and Roller Coaster. She's not going to ride Tower. So that whole, we haven't really ventured much down that direction. So this goes with Snow White's Scary Adventure on attractions that I never got to experience despite being in the parks when they were open. And I'm bummed. Can't wait for the villain show. I don't think it belongs back there. You need to retheme Rock and Roller Coaster like 3 years ago. But it's going to be fun, and maybe we'll bury Lightning at the bottom of the rivers of America. Just that's what you were encouraging, right? Just put them right in there, dirt over it.
Yep.
Rip Lightning.
Yep. That's what I want.
Ka-chow.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Ka-chow indeed. I mean, if you think about it, and really, I mean, if you really think about it like this: life is a highway.
That's the worst version of that song. I hate that. Was that Rascal Flatts?
It is Rascal Flatts, but
terrible. Tom Cochran, man. The Tom Cochran version's way better.
Did you hear Shabuzi's version at D23? Because that may make you think again.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Talented person.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I think this was a neat attraction, but I never thought about it in terms of what you just said. Taking your daughter down there around two of the scariest attractions in Hollywood studios and go, no, this is going to be okay. I promise. You hear them screaming out of the tower and, you know, the music blaring. It's like, no, though, this is fine. It actually was a really neat little show. Definitely not something that you would need to go back for multiple times, but I do think it was neat. And I hope that the villain show is better. But I still love the original idea that you came up with on ParksCenter that I still give you 1,000% credit for, which was it needs
definitely
to be
just mine, not stolen.
It needs to. That's what I'm saying. It needs to be a power line roller coaster, and we need that in our lives desperately. I think that would be awesome to have. Let's move on to this because, boy, I love it when there are collectibles that I don't need that are ridiculously expensive, and I just go, oh, those poor folks. Oh, look at that. There is a $450 Vera Wang bridal ear headband available at Walt Disney World. Now, I don't think these are like actual jewels in here, are they? But if they were, it would probably be pretty expensive. I said to my wife, I was like, oh, there's this Vera Wang bridal ears that they have there. I was like, how much do you think it is? And she goes, $10,000. And I go, I mean, I thought 450 was going to be the one we were all going to scoff at, and you're going $10,000. She would not win on The Price is Right.
I bid $1. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Stephanie, are you going to get these for your vow renewals?
No, but your wife isn't too far off. You throw in a Vera Wang dress, and she's probably making out pretty good, honestly. But the $450 for this pair, I'm sorry, Miss Vera, you needed to do better. The two ones that they did before, I think it was, 2021 and 2022 or something like that, those were much prettier. They had like crystals on them. They were more expensive, I get that, but they had little tiaras or something like this. And so, yeah, somebody that's going there to get married at Disney, maybe we can ask Shannon, did she wear ears on her wedding day? I don't know. But yeah, I think some people would definitely be in the market for these.
Okay. You know what? Newly loving ears. Allie, would you grab these?
I would not. They are very pretty, but they are very expensive. And it takes, and this is, I don't mean this in an offensive way, but it takes a special person to wear ears on your wedding day. And if that's what you want to do, then I am here for it. You do you, but I am not that person, and I don't think most people are that person. They're very pretty, but that is a very small market that we are looking at of people that are going to want that.
It's like mini ears on your wedding day. Okay, Patrick.
I mean, you do you, boo.
You do you, boo. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. You do you, boo. I was looking
Another
at this
Patrick
one. This
original.
is the other one, the Princess Ear headband with tiara. This one's only $34.99. What a bargain!
Oh, my daughter's gonna have that.
Pick that one up. That one's great.
Not leaving without that one. I can see it.
I have to be honest though, like I'm scoffing at this $450. And I see that, and that's something you would probably wear. It's got the veil. You could wear it in your wedding, especially if you were doing something at Disney or you're just a huge, huge, huge Disney fan. It would be a special thing to have. And then you would probably cherish it forever. But I look at it and go, why would there be something $450 in the park? Now, we know there's like tens of thousands of dollars of like, the crystal stuff that's in there that you could buy, but like why is there anything that costs $450 in a theme park that you wear your tank tops and sweaty shorts into? That seems like such a weird thing. And then I was like, oh, there's this cool C-3PO head that's only $119. I can totally justify that. Like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. The headband, no way, but this one makes perfect sense. We should totally get those and carry them around. I mean, I would find another place to buy it, but yeah, it's exactly. I guess it just depends on what you're into, and there's something for everybody at Disney. There's the caviar dreams of the yacht club, and there's the me at the Pop Century. That's what's happening. Let's talk a little bit about Christmas merch. Patrick, is it time for there to be Christmas merch in at Disney? I mean, is it like
Rob, time
it's
is
October?
A flat circle.
I'm glad this is all being recorded because I feel like these are all gems and I need to make sure not to miss a single one. And so I can go back through the video afterwards and go, like TM Patrick Hackett, TM Patrick Hackett. It's fine.
Yeah, I definitely don't steal these from other people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, and it's not just us, right? Like, even over in Tokyo, there's they've announced their merch for the holiday season. And I guess part of that is that people are planning their holiday trips and they want to make sure that they know once they get there, they can spend a lot of money. I don't know. I can't remember, Stephanie, if you said you want to talk about this or not, but I'll call you out anyway. Doonies. Do you do Doonies, and do you need one for every season? Because they have them with these with the dogs on them.
Well, you're the one to talk with the popcorn buckets there, Rob.
I
Yes,
know.
you need
I
one
know.
for every holiday. You have to have your Doonie or something, or your lug bag or something like that you can use.
Okay. Yeah. And anything else about the Christmas stuff that you looked at and thought, hey, that looks pretty cool?
I love gingerbread. It's one of my, my go-tos, and I love the teaser that they have for the Spirit jerseys this year, except for where is that little gingerbread Mickey coming out of? I'm sorry, it's just not flattering on the back.
Well, I'm trying to pull it up, but we'll talk to Abby about this first, and then I'll come back.
Yeah, they only have some of the line out at the moment, but to your point of, is it too early? I feel like it's been Halloween since July, so I almost feel like we're late with the holiday stuff. I was like, it's taking a while. So it's gonna just keep coming out. The t-shirts are actually really cute this year. There's that haunted one and a Nightmare Before Christmas one. Like, they're killing it with the t-shirts. The rest of them are, I feel like it all just clear. We just change things. I like last year's line a lot. I caved and got that Spirit jersey this year. I don't know if there's going to be much that I'm going to buy. I say as I'll probably go to Disneyland and buy one of everything, but That will be a November problem.
That's a November problem, she says. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My wife, and I think we've talked about this before, she loves Thanksgiving, and so the fact that we skip, really, we we can't wait for Halloween, and we could start that whenever, because Fourth of July ends on the 4th, and we're ready immediately after back to school. Get that
No.
Halloween stuff going. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Get the Halloween stuff going, and then when that's over, people are instantly like, "All right, it's time to put up the tree. It's time to get everything else ready to go." Stephanie, here's the
Yeah.
thing you were talking about. The
Oh,
spiritual.
oh yeah, I can see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Can you explain
yeah.
it to me? Because
I
I'm not
love
really
gingerbread
sure.
Mickey, but I just
I'm
don't
not.
want him under my back like that in that area.
Well, I don't understand.
Ginger butt.
Yeah.
Also, let's talk about this. If I'm buying the spirit jersey, I'm buying that loungefly, and why wouldn't you position the loungefly in such a way that it wouldn't cover up
Thank you.
like stuff like that,
Yes.
right? I mean, people usually buy them in twos, right? Like if you're getting the orange bird, you're getting the orange bird loungefly. So, I mean, come on. I shouldn't have to find the answers to all of these things, but also, Patrick, when you go, don't forget to buy all of these pins, because I know you were just
Yeah,
saying that you wish you
we
could spend
went
more
through
money
them
on pins.
today.
Did you
Um,
really?
Yeah, we went through
So
them
then,
today.
so then the Christmas stuff being out now is really for you. I mean, you're headed
Oh,
down there
100%
for
it's for me. You
Christmas,
just,
and
I
you're
took a
like,
joke and then you didn't want me to talk anymore. I understand. I get it. It's fine. Um, so just real quick, did we ever determine if the Disney Eats collection is AI generated? Because I know when it first came out, there were a lot of theories that it was an AI art. And that would definitely have me not buy that gingerbread. Although now that I'm thinking it's coming out of my tuchus, I don't know if I want the gingerbread spirit jersey anymore. The Christmas collection this year is really, really good. There's a lot of good stuff. Some of the pins are very meh. Some of them are really cute, but good stuff this year. And yeah, I'm the one. I don't want to see it in the park, but if I can buy it on DisneyStore.com and have it shipped so I know I'm packed and ready to go with it, that's beneficial to me. I might get my first spirit jersey. Pardon me.
will you debut it on ParksCenter?
No, probably not. I'll debut it on December 17th at Very Merry.
Okay, that's fine. All right. Speaking of Christmas, there's a Christmas overlay coming to Super Nintendo World, and I kind of love that. I mean, like it seems like an automatic. That's very cool. We've got the Luigi and Mario snowmen. They've got a Christmas tree. The Peach's castle has got. I mean, the star is a given, right? So you've got it all over, all this stuff, including the mushrooms, and like I would buy that for my house. I'm loving. I'm loving this garland and this wreath here. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like there's a couple of things that seem like they kind of went away. I don't feel like they go all in for Toy Story Land anymore, do they? Because like Toy Story Land, they changed the music for Toy Story Land. They changed they put up all of the holiday decorations and all that. I mean, hopefully that's coming back this year, but I feel like when Universal's all in, especially Universal Hollywood, like Disney needs to go ahead and step it up. Even like, especially if they have the stuff already, they need to be doing that. Patrick, I mean, again, you're excited for Christmas, but
Yeah, no, I'm very excited, very, very excited for this trip.
Nintendo, what do you think?
I wish, I think that's awesome. I really can't wait to see what Epic Universe does upon its first holiday season. I think it's really gonna show Disney that it needs to step its game up. Every single land should be decorated, and recently I forgot what it was, but like one little holiday was noticed by the park, and I think that's awesome. That's the kind of stuff we need to do. California gets it so right with their holidays, and every little event and every little holiday, maybe because they have the blessing of being smaller, but I want to see so much when we go. Everywhere should have its Halloween decorations up. Be as inclusive as you can, but make it feel festive.
So you're saying California has the blessing of not size, is what you're
Right.
telling me, and then because of that,
So that's why they can step it up for like the littler holidays.
You know, now that you mention it, as big as these parks go for Halloween, whether it be Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party or all the merch and everything, they don't really go all out at the resorts, right? Like they don't, other than like
No,
resorts don't decorate for Halloween.
Oh, huh.
Like it feels like a missed opportunity to me, especially in the Grand Californian, they'll do like an Oogie Boogie or some kind of big like marshmallow treat cake or something like that there. So there's something there. But I feel like they miss an opportunity as much as people go specifically for the Halloween parties, especially to California for Oogie Boogie. It seems like that might be a missed opportunity for them to do that. But obviously the hotels at Christmas go all out. All of the hotels have some either a tree or a gingerbread house or gingerbread carousel or something. But when you go into the Magic Kingdom, it feels like it stops at Main Street, right? Like there's nothing beyond Main Street as far as those decorations go. So I'd like to see more of that. But I love Merry Menagerie. I'm excited about that.
I can't
But
wait
I
to
just
see
want to
it.
see them. I just want to see them
cute.
do more with the stuff like Toy Story Land where they've done it before, because Cars Land is so perfect at Christmas. It's so good. So
Cars
I
Land's so
mean,
cute at Halloween. I mean, we took a bunch of pictures
Yeah.
up there. That was awesome. And like you said, there's only 3 hotels out there at Disneyland Resort, but they each had their own theme. Like this year, we were at the Disneyland Hotel for a couple of nights and then moved over to Grand Californian. The Disneyland was dressed up as the Haunted Mansion, and they had like cute little photo ops and things like that. And then at the Grand Californian, they had their chocolate confection with the Wicked Witch, the evil queen turned into the Wicked Witch, but and her cauldron. It was beautiful. I mean, my kids went by there every day looking at that. So yeah, I wish that Disney World would do something like that. And then they have the Easter eggs that they do, at Easter time.
Yeah.
yeah, Allie, before we move on, anything else?
No, I agree with everything you guys said. I do think Disneyland does a little bit better with the resorts. And again, maybe just because it is smaller. And even like Alani, if we want to go there, they do a pumpkin hunt
Oh
and like a
yeah.
pumpkin contest. Yeah, I saw that online. So yeah, more Halloween and all the Christmas.
Did
All
you,
the
anybody here ever watch Doogie Kamoella?
No.
It
No.
was like a spin-off of Doogie Howser, but it was with the girl from Andy Mack, and she was the kid doctor, but it was in Hawaii. I just found out the other day that there is an Alani episode. You remember back in the day when they would send Full House
Oh
to Disney
man.
World or
Yes,
like
this is the
Lopez to
best.
Disneyland? They
Yeah.
sent her to Alani, and I was like, I love this. I love this. The actor Jason Lee, who plays David in Lilo and Stitch, is in it as her dad. So it's a series, but like season, I think it's 2, episode 3 or 4, was them going to Alani, which is cool for me because I've never been there, Allie. But but it is definitely
Take me.
Buy less
Let's go.
popcorn
You
buckets,
guys,
Rob.
you guys got points. You said you got points you can't get rid of. Take
How
your
many
girl.
popcorn buckets
We'll
does
bring
it take to get to one trip to Alani? Uh, the Alani memories would last a lifetime, but even in landfills, the popcorn buckets will last longer. Like, it's just math. It's just math. So, I mean, you really need to think about it from a practical standpoint, Patrick. I mean, come on, do better. That's all I'm saying. All right, so let's talk about one last thing before we go, and that's that they're doing Magic Key previews for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And I know what you're saying, Rob. Tiana's Bayou Adventure is already open, but wait, there's a second one. I remember at D23, Bob Iger came out to announce years ago to announce Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, and he showed all the concept art, and he said, and we're not just making one of these, we're making 2. And it was like, yay, excited. And then everybody now it's like, wouldn't it have been better to do 2 different things? That would have been better. Same thing with this. Wouldn't it have been cool to do Tiana's Bayou Adventure in, I don't know, the Bayou where they have that, New Orleans Square in California, and do something I don't know, a little westerny, maybe something Lightning McQueen themed out of Splash Mountain instead would have been kind of cool because Lightning McQueen fits smack dab into the Old West pretty clearly. A couple things that have happened in California. One is that Tiana's Bayou Adventure has created the death of Critter Country and Welcome Bayou Country, which now has these new costumes, these new cast member costumes. Oh my God, what a heavy sigh from Allie already. That's great. I love that. I can't wait to hear what she has to say. She's catching a Patrick fever. But the other thing is, and Allie, I'm going to ask you about this too, is they're going to do Magic Key previews for Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and these are the dates, which are much more than we had for the AP in Florida, by the way. Yeah. And what this says to me is that they're ready to open, but they've already promised November 15th, so now they have to stall. I feel like may be the thing. But, I mean, AP, I think, got 6 days, and this is more than I can count. I don't remember there being a lot of Magic Key or pass holder previews in California for things before, but maybe it's just because I haven't been out there.
No, we got the Galaxy's Edge preview, but otherwise we really didn't get anything like this before. And wasn't it even like out here for Tiana, it was like you could only sign up for a day? This seems like you could go every single day and try to get the virtual queue, and you could literally ride this every single day if you can go, which I think is really cool for the locals. And now that you're spending a small fortune to have a Magic Key, it's the least they could do. But it's great. It's super soon. I was like, oh wow, that's weeks ever.
Are you going?
No, that's way too soon. That's like an $800 flight to go with my $1,800 Magic Key.
And
Right.
Patrick, have you done Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Florida yet, or no, Patrick?
No, I will in December, which I would have never, ever ridden Splash Mountain in December, so can't wait for that. 21. The answer is 21, Rob. For your flight round trip, it would cost you 21 popcorn buckets to get you over to Alani.
I did the math.
Is that just?
I found a flight too. Yeah.
Is that just
Definitely got
me,
you
or
at
is it?
least 20.
Well, I figured, your wife. Can
Am
come
I taking
and it's
Allie,
40
or is that just
it's
me?
42. Well, just
I'll pay for my own flight. Just pay for my room.
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean,
All right,
if we want to get particular and add your DVC fees into it, we could. But I mean, 21 popcorn buckets for your flight.
Well, I'm going to have to reach out to Jungle Cruiser and see if I can borrow some of his popcorn buckets, too, to throw into the pot and maybe get enough to take Allie as well. But let's talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventure, my friend. What are you excited about the one there? And then with the one in California, do you think you'll head out there at some point and be excited about this? Because one of them, the one in Florida is flooded, and the one in California is trough. Like, it's I don't know. You get a lot more wet there.
Oh, great. I feel like there should be a lot more differences. I really do. I've been thinking about it a lot when this topic came up. And Pirates is different. We should have mansions different. We should have more differences between, you can have the attractions. I think some of the great stuff when you go to the other parks is you get to see their takes on Mansion. You get to see their takes on Big Thunder. The new costumes, I didn't like. They're just but I guess I'm very excited for Tiana in Florida. I wish they changed it up a little bit, maybe make something different for Disneyland, but I know that they won't.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about this Coco show, but most of you don't want to, so we won't talk about that. Let's move on from that. Although for some reason I feel like Disney Parks blog, maybe somebody put out something about the Coco ride, which we still don't know where that's going to be. I think our thought process is that the entryway is going to be in that grandstand area off of Pixar Pier and go underneath the Incredicoaster and to some building back there. It would make sense because it's not like you're going to make a whole land, and we're all about theming now. You wouldn't just put like a Marvel attraction in the middle of Epcot. You want to make sure that your theming your theming works. I mean, that's really key to everything.
The Xandar Pavilion, it should be in World Showcase, honestly.
Thank you. Obviously, why is it in Future World? That makes zero sense. All right. Thank you guys so much for being with us tonight. We appreciate you. A big shout out to our wigs, the WDWNT Interglobe Society. Thank you guys for being part of our family. If you are a wigs member, there's a post show after this. And so we will talk about other things as like why Patrick's in a mood. And then I do want to give, we talked a little bit about Once Upon a Time, which you can't ever talk enough about Once Upon a Time, right?
I don't like this.
Because it was a review that we did on Deep in the Plus, and coming up on Deep in the Plus, we're doing it's spooky season, so we're doing all spooky stuff. Patrick and I started it off with Girl versus Monster, and then last week Ron and I did Blackbeard's Ghost. Then Desi's coming on to do Edward Scissorhands. Hopefully, if she has power, that was a thing. And then my friend Maleko is coming on to do a Mickey Mouse Halloween Spooktacular because everybody else said #NotMyMickey. And then on October 30th, Patrick Hackett comes back to do Emperor's New Groove, and we close it all
The
out.
scariest of all
season.
movies.
You know what, dude? You know what? Disney basically is calling this a Halloween movie because they don't have enough of them, so they're calling this one in a way by having all of these things in the parks, like the glow cube and all of the other things that I've tried to justify this to you with, and you just don't buy it in any way, shape, or form. We'll talk about it on the 30th. It'll be fun. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here on the panel. I appreciate you all, and we will see you guys again real soon. Have a great week. Be safe. Thoughts out to everybody who is still being affected by Helene and Milton, and hopefully all of that is going to come hopefully together soon. We hope. But please take care of each other. Have a great one. Beautiful. That was so good.
Can we make a new